Call roll, please.
Ron Kinsley,
There.
Ed Peters,
Here.
Chris Ross. Mark Helwig,
Yep.
Brian Biznet.
Here.
Deborah Four.
Let the record indicate we have a quorum. Two people are virtual. Mr. Bissonnette and Mr. Peters are virtual. Please rise. And pledge allegiance.
Right.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yo. Number 4, certification compliance of open meeting laws, please.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.4 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. 5 is the agenda. The agenda is set. 6, public comment.
And the
Do you have anything?
No.
Number 7, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of July 13th.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters to approve as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 8, maintenance department report. Welcome back.
Thanks. Any, any questions on my report?
Tell us the highlights, my friend.
Yeah, I do have a couple things. Down on the Oasis update. With the exception of a little bit of painting right now, they're doing a second coat through the building. Our maintenance is in, except for a couple workstations that are in process and a couple cabinets we're done on our end, but we do have HHS is, they want to wait. They have I think they're getting ready to finalize a furniture order. They want all the new furniture in on the waiting area and stuff before they move ADRC down there. And then also Ahern fire protection, after we put in the secure halls and that conference room, we're about between 7 and 10 sprinkler heads short. There's some sprinkler heads where that they just have to get moved and a few added in. So we're waiting on that contractor for that as well. It's in the works. We've, I've signed the proposal, all those, but they're like everybody else, short staff, backed up. So as soon as that's done, and then if I jump down to the airport, worked a lot with the Bureau. We had our current snow blower broke down. It was either 11 or 12 times last winter. Was in the shop probably more than we had it out on the airfield. So we were trying to get the Bureau to help us out, get a new one. They thought it was going to be doable. When it finally came down to the wire, it did not get approved. So I think we have 4 years left in the cycle. So we've got to make it last at least 4 years. So since the new one's not on the table anymore, then I have a bunch of parts ordered right now. We're waiting on that. We get the snow blower into the Evergreen equipment. Just gonna basically rebuild the whole back end of the snow blower because we got some problems going on that they can't really pinpoint. So I don't usually like to throw parts at something, but we're just gonna rebuild the back end of ours and new chains and sprockets and bearings and see if we can't, get it back up to speed. So other than that, that's about what I had.
Mr. Helwig.
I was just curious, what were these requested changes that kind of slowed you down there on the Oasis?
Once we actually met with ADRC staff down there, they had some things like, because we thought we were kind of coming down to the tail end of it. They had some things like they wanted an opening from the reception area because the reception area was separated, even though they got a door into reception. There wasn't a doorway to get them back into the secure hallway by the offices. And so then we had to create an opening, take out a door opening on one spot. just kind of get it framed in, get some finished trim going on it and everything, and, so now, whether you're in reception or in the hallway, they have access back and forth. Just some things like that, that it was, you know, you kind of come down to it, and you think, okay, our part's done, now we just wait on the other contractors, and then so it took a little bit more time, plus it kind of all came to a head about the same time as we were trying to get everything done for the jail inspection, so we spent some weeks, we actually, you know, we put 0 hours in down there, so otherwise, I think it turned out well. The Tasha, I believe is her name, who is in charge of the, I don't know if it's called ADRC Center of the North Region or whatever it is, toured the building. It might have been, it was either Friday or Monday, she toured the building, thought that it's gonna be the best ADRC one in the region, so, you know, so the guys did a good job, and I think it'll be, serve them well.
I guess as long as they're happy.
You know, so yeah, I think it's, I think it's gonna turn out nice, so.
How about signage down there? Have we got any signage down there?
What we're working on right now is we do have in play I can't remember if it's a 6 foot by 3 foot sign that's going to be like if you were looking at the entrance into Sawyer County's part of the building. It'll go in between the next 2 office windows. We're gonna probably have to cover the ADRC part if they're not down there by the time the getting slowed up in production right now too. They're probably about 2 or 3 weeks out on that sign. We're holding off on the street sign right now because you know, it'll have to be Sawyer County on the one half and then Northwest Journey on the bottom half. So we just kind of want to make sure we have that solidified on who's in the second part of the building. Get everybody on the same page, but I think they'll be able to, you know, I think that sign on the building will help clarify where they're at.
Can you actually see that from the road when that's on there? So that, because I think the road one's gonna be most important, so people
Yeah,
don't just drive by.
yeah, we're hoping it's a good enough size where, yeah, I think a lot of veterans are finding it right now. I think it's just a matter of getting used to the new location, but we are working on the signage.
And the veterans will have something.
Yeah, it'll be a sign, it'll say Sawyer County Veterans Office, Services Office and the ADRC with the Sawyer County logo.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, I missed this, jumping in here when you went through the agenda, but would it be okay to move up number 11? Tim, so Tim's
too
still
late.
here.
Okay.
I'll make it quick. Yeah, I just wanted to address the courtroom remodeling while Tim's still here. So in your pack, you have the update from Myron and also a site visit report from Venture. You can see the footprint of the building out there. Most of the demolition work is completed, including the demolition of the former Veteran Service Building. There's been a couple of days lost with weather, but seems like they've been able to schedule around that to keep things caught up, as well as a delay in, I believe some of the block was a little bit late getting here, but they were able to work around that. The only kind of significant discussion is in terms of the project scope that we've taken up in our bi-weekly meetings is when the plans were put together, there really was no plan put in place for the existing roof and water drainage, because now we'll have more people coming up to this entrance on the east side is going to be more of a primary entrance. We're concerned about the amount of water, and especially in the wintertime, the ice coming off the building that people might have to encounter. It's already been a problem before, and now it'll be even more of a problem because of the additional utilization of that side of the building. So while we still could, we looked into gutters and downspouts being added. When the downspouts would drain, we run down the side of the building and then underground and then connect into the city storm sewer. So we needed to get that decided now while the parking lot's tore up and before there was any more items being stored there. So It's about a $35,000, $35,000 to $40,000 change, but it will take care of all the stormwater coming off the building and keep it off the sidewalks in the parking lot. Then most of that cost will be,
An additional 35.
yes. Through the elimination of the generator we'll come up with that
Offset.
offset, thank you. Beyond that, some other areas where we're working on internally, I think I mentioned these last month. Furniture fixtures, we've got that order put together. That was over the initial quote, but we're gonna be able to save some of that overage by having maintenance build some of the fixtures, the desks primarily. And then also working on the AV and IT materials. That came in $40,000 over the original quote that was in the project. But Mike has that out for additional proposals from additional companies. Those are due the end of this week. So we'll take a look at those and hopefully bring that amount closer to the original quote. And then the other amount that was over the original quote was rerouting of the fiber optics and phone into the building. That ended up, initial estimate was 26,000, that's closer to 50,000. To the companies that did that work to reroute their access to the building. So trying to stay on top of it, and we do have a contingency fund there, but so those last two items I just mentioned were our costs. Those are not part of the Myron contract. Those are things the county had to take care of, and they were estimated at the start of the project, but coming in higher than the estimates at that time.
$20,000 more. They're rerouting, so that means that if I understand rerouting, they're taking from one spot, moving to another. Are they buying all the equipment and everything to put this in?
It's the cost of coming in and retrenching it and taking it underground. There was multiple companies that had to do that.
It's the price of absolutely everything right now.
I do have a question though. I don't recall, is this room gonna be redone?
No,
It was gonna be the
Was, but it's
veterans, but it's not.
it was an alternate to the bid, to the
Yeah.
project, but it was taken out at the end of before it was committed to. This was, the remodeling this was removed.
So they could move down, and then they moved down there instead of remodeling
Right.
this and saved. How much?
I don't know what the cost was of this part of the project.
That's a good question. There was a dollar amount, but I can tell you what the dollar amount is.
And it also came down to a timing thing because in order for this to be, to get renovated, would have had to been, after the new courtroom was open, because otherwise you lose the county, the county wouldn't have access into this room all the while during construction. And
And there wasn't gonna be some construction over here, like putting like a little indent, so.
that would have been, yeah, in the clerk court, that got removed. That was one of the first designs that got removed out of the project once we started to, once the actual estimates started coming in. And
So they're gonna have the same windows that they have now. They're not gonna have anything lower down for people that are handicapped in any way. Which that was going to be, correct?
I think there's still been talk about, they've got one office right out here with no window. It's just walled in. So there were other options for that, but yeah, currently right now, there's not a plan to build any remodel. I'm not saying that couldn't happen.
Well, the only thing, not with the clerk court, with the register and probate,
All registered probate's gonna have a project.
there was, I think part of that was included in the original project that was taken out. But in the capital project request for next year,
Yeah,
or at least tentatively have something in there to provide some security to the registered probate, to put a kind of a window inside the window, so there's privacy as well as security for them.
So this lobby out here is gonna be secure also?
no, it'll be right here,
In the
registered probate's right here
office.
on the corner.
Yeah.
So that office will have, instead of people just being at the window out in the hall, that'll be a different height window and they'll be able to come in out of the hall, take care of paperwork, and there'll still be a barrier between them and registered probate. So, so that part of the court system, clerk court system is gonna be probably done sometime first part of 23.
To kind of complete the discussion on. Yeah, this was originally gonna be remodeled, proposed for veteran service. And since I've been here, I think there's been some, I had the same question you did, is this room in or out? Because there was some confusion.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons the signs were kind of delayed at the Oasis building
Right.
is because there was different schools of thought between some departments that this was just a temporary location for veteran service at the Oasis. But at this point, I consider that a permanent move. We're getting the signs ordered now, and that's where they're gonna be. It's kind of a service center for veterans and the ADRC clients at that location
You know,
indefinitely.
Cause that building could have been used for other things if they'd have put the VA in here. That's my thing is, you know, you had a plan and then also, you know, it always goes like this. My thing, as long as we're not cutting stuff so we don't get like, you remember the jail. I do not want to see that happen where, you know, we,
Cost us later.
exactly, cost millions of dollars later.
and
And you know that, Jim.
if I can answer that. Tom was very, you know, and Ron, you know this, we went into this knowing that there were some issues in jail that, you know, that kind of, you know, we had to deal with that should have been dealt with, you know, not value engineered out and those kind of things. And so we kept that at the forefront to go, we had to do some value engineering to maintain, you know, as close to budget as we could, but we made sure that we didn't value engineer things out in the building that were going to, you know, catch us in the end. So it's still, you know, very energy efficient. We've got, all departments will have that are using it. They're gonna have all the facilities that they need. So we didn't,
No, we didn't go with cheap locks just to save some
No.
money.
no,
You know where I'm going there. And then we have,
right.
because I remember D block, supposed to be secure windows. Guy went and took a mop and broke all the windows. So there was lots and lots of stuff that we. All right, well, go, Mike.
But that's also part of why we were 8 million up to 10.2. Because we just knew we couldn't get it done for 8. Part of it.
I understand that, but things that were dropped, but yet went up.
Mr. Peters, Mr. Bissonnette, do you have any questions?
Nope, I don't. No, sir.
Thank you. There is one other concern I have when they talked about the roof and to put that piping to go underneath the parking lot. Didn't they explain that? I asked, what if we have like that 4-inch rain or something? The roof will hold X amount of water. And it'll also come off the corners. That's what I understood them to say. Comes off the corners, where is it gonna go? It's gonna go out on the lawn. And from there, across the park.
Yeah, beat the hell out of the lawn.
But
And
that's
then-
only if we have a substantial amount of rain.
And at least that'll be during the warm weather. So it wouldn't, you know, at least it's not gonna freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's, I kept my mouth shut. when they talked. Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank both of you guys.
Airport. Derek, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Kind of an easy month, surprise. We don't get many of those, it seems like. I know that Lynn and Tim have been working hard. I put that in my report too. Any questions that anybody has burning? I've been working with Andy on a number of different things. And seems like things are going well and we're kind of coming up hopefully with some plans for the future and not slowing down in regards to improvements at the airport and planning and stuff like that. It's always different things that kind of come up over the course of a month or a year. But Andy and I have been talking about different things and some of the things Tom and I talked about back in the past too. unique situation at the airport, me being a business owner out there too. You know, there's still things that we want to get done out there in the future, and a lot of that pertains to relationship with the administrator and kind of what our thoughts and feelings are moving forward at the airport. And I think that this fall, especially, I'll put it in the report, our master plan is going to come, and that's going to be a big deal for the county, I think, to start that master plan process, because we're really going to start looking at the future. It seems like we've spent the last 3 or 4 years just worried about the next month, you know, and the problems that face us today. And I think we're kind of transitioning into a period where things have slowed down, and we're going to be able to start looking kind of more long-term, and I'm excited for it.
I was just curious, is Mark gonna come up and help you up with that 5-year plan? Wasn't that his name? Mark?
Matt from the Bureau, Carl from Becker Hoppy, but then we hired on through the state program, through the airport improvement program, we hired on a consultant. The consultant that is taking our project is a nation leading consultant out of Kansas. It's Kaufman Associates. One of their big things is that when the master plan's done, they actually publish a website. And that website is, you know, navigable to the point where you could, you know, total tutorial of what the airport is, what the airport is going to be 5, 10 years, what point in time the county needs to start considering, you know, applying for funding for new pavements, stuff like that. The master plan's it's a big process, and we're going to have public meetings, presumably down here, that are not going to be outside this committee. They're not going to be at our meetings. They're going to be public involvement meetings, and presumably Andy and I are going to be a big part of it. You know, board of supervisors will probably be invited, but I've never done one of these before.
Yeah.
1996 is when you did it, because that was our last one. So
I think earlier this year, or maybe it was last fall, winter, it was discussed about how you let pilots know what the airport is like, you know, as far as weather. Have you looked into any way like internet? You know, is there an internet thing that they're supposed to be able to go to? And
well, we've talked about you know, something as simple as a webcam too. You know, there's webcams in town, but you know, there's pilots that are, the aviation world is about as technologically as advanced as any profession that there is out there. There's lots and lots of information available. What we have at our airport is what a lot of airports are lacking, which is a weather system. So anytime you ever see the temperature for Hayward, Wisconsin, that temperature is coming from the airport. Certified, you know, calibrated equipment, National Weather Service and FAA going together on. So all that information is spit out to pilots in numerous ways. Over the radio frequencies, over a telephone line. You could call the system to figure out what the winds and altimeter, the sky conditions are. So there's
that I didn't know. So
Yeah.
'cause I know somebody, I think it was brought up or something that there wasn't, you weren't updating that on the web or something. So
It's automatic. It's an automated weather system. So
Right.
it's all fed into the national system.
yeah, you know, there's a lot of redundancies in aviation too. The big thing is, you know, the lights are on all the time at night.
maybe I'm just smoking something.
Yes. But no, I guess otherwise on the report, you know, the CAP is an integral part to the airport. They had their pancake feed. We're incredibly thankful to have them out there. It sounds like they got another couple of cadets this summer that are going to be going through their program. And Alfec, where he's been the leader of the program, he's been part of it for 35 or 37 years, something among those lines. And they really do a lot of work, you know, in the community too. You know, I mean, they're there to help out in any way they can. And we're glad that they had their event, but I think next year we need to I need to do a little bit more work, make some more phone calls or print some flyers, try to get a little more people to come out to the airport, because I think we're a little under what we kind of expected this year. You you see it at other airports, the 37th annual fly-in and, a couple thousand people come, and they have vintage car races and stuff like that, We're not operating at that level, we're not New Richmond, we don't have the population base here. We're only gonna pull people from so far away,
Get links to go across.
Yeah,
That was-
that I will say, myself, through Hayward Aviation, several other key partners in town donated. The one that you just mentioned did as well. They have every year. So, it's nice to see that, people step up to try to help them, and, yeah, I guess, airport's still there. I think today was the busiest day of the year.
I was gonna ask also, is there going to be a grand opening? I mean, like have a meeting out there when it's all finished or?
Well, Ron came out about a month ago.
Would the committee want to meet out there sometime? I suggest before we rotate it around. Because I know Gary's dying for us to get back on the highway.
Well, we yanked the conference room. We yanked the conference room out to kind of make it more into a pilot's lounge. Just to kind of better use the space because it's
But
only
it could-
1,500
it could be used for one public meeting.
Right.
Yeah, we could, pull chairs together and we've done it before, but,
We have one of the nicest highway departments in the whole region.
Then we should,
State of the
doesn't get
art.
used.
I've never been there, so we should have a meeting there.
Really nice.
Keep that on the,
So. Okay, we will.
thank you.
So it was busy today. A lot of people came in and out. We had a patient transfer. Andy and I have talked with emergency services and we've a lot of things that go on with that process too, because helicopters use the airport frequently. So we had a patient transfer today at the hospital, at the airport, instead of at the hospital. I think I've had 2 or 3 late night call outs recently, where I've had to run into the airport at night to fill up helicopters with fuel. Kind of unique with that one. They usually only ever do that if they're pulling the patient long distance. If they're pulling the patient to Rochester, they're pulling the patient to southern Wisconsin, then they just simply need the extra fuel. And it's easier to do it when there's not a patient on board. So they drop the people off at the hospital, come pick up fuel and go back to the hospital again. So all those activities are happening out there. You don't hear about them often, but put a plug in there for the things we can because that's a big deal. It's a service that's provided, the county has at the airport. It's, in one way or another, it's helping the public. So,
Very good.
thank
Letter-
you.
Yep, letter B, possible hangar name change. I asked this be on the agenda because we learned that individual that we approved. Now they have a company name, if you want to use instead of private name.
Yeah, this is the lease that was approved at the last county board or last committee meeting and then the county board meeting. We approved it under Ronald J. Becky. I'm actually, historically, that lease at one point was under their corporate name of Leisure Time Services Incorporated. So after the county board meeting, when the attorney got a hold of us to execute the lease, he mentioned that they had changed their mind and wanted to put it back under the name of the corporation. That's when we talked to Ron and let him know that.
Where's that on here?
And it really, for us, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, to be honest with you, if it's in their personal name or if they're corporate. If it's in their corporate name, we do ask that they sign a personal guarantee, whoever is signing on behalf of the corporation. So we have leases in corporate names and in individual names. Subsequent to me talking to you, the attorney was here and I had talked to him about it because we were trying to verify the corporate status of that company. He indicated that they are going to keep it in the name of Ronald J. Becky.
Okay. That's it.
So it's a moot one
Yeah.
after all that.
But if it was gonna be changed, I wanted the committee to be aware of why. All right, that's fine.
Just it's an agenda question. Is it on, I went back and downloaded the one that was on the site because the one I had from the other day didn't have all the other stuff. But I don't see this sign thing on here, is it?
It's
On,
9B.
it's not highlighted.
Okay. Our error.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't do that on a subheading.
Okay. Any other, yes, any other questions for Derek?
Ready to go.
So, go see your kids.
No, I gotta go over to the softball game, otherwise
Yeah.
Jay's gonna give me a hard time.
Well, Brian, you can ask them them questions now.
Sorry, I actually lost you guys for about 3 minutes. I lost the sound and then everybody's screen froze. So I kind of missed, probably about the last 4 minutes or so.
We were talking about you the whole time.
It was nothing important. I
And
took up all your
I'm
time.
used to it. I don't care.
We'll brief you when we see you next time, Brian, if that's acceptable.
It'll be on YouTube.
All right, Mr. Peters, you got any questions for Derek?
No, thank you very much.
All right, with that, thank you, Derek.
Have a good night, folks.
Number 10, Highway Commissioners Report. Welcome, Gary.
Roundabout updates, first item on there. I don't really have much to update on that. Before we even think about a roundabout, we gotta work on that safety plan, the local road safety plan. So there was a meeting last week with Northwest Regional Planning Commission, Russ County, Sawyer County, and LCO. And it's kind of hinging on whether Russ County wants to go and join in this venture. They're going to be meeting next Monday. And Northwest Regional Planning Commission is going to present to them, and I'll find out Monday or early Tuesday. And they've the other commissioners kind of appointed me the contact person, so I'm gonna be the lead person working with Northwest Regional Planning Commission on it, so I don't have anything more to report. We could probably take it off future agendas. It's not gonna be a fast process. It's gonna be a while while we're doing the grant writing, which I'm gonna assist Northwest Regional Planning Commission
They'll do the grant.
from the technical end of it. And hopefully they've got the other end of it covered. Formats and that type of thing.
Good.
And then moving on to the Highway Commission report. In the first paragraph, I got a little correction, or not correction, but update. We had 2 mowers out on the county, 2 on the state. We only have 1 mower out on the state, and we've been having to park 1 mower on the county this week because we're paving. We start paving on Monday, County Road C.
Mm,
So that's a little different. And then the paving, actually, we're gonna finish tomorrow on County Road C, and then we will be shouldering next week. And we're still one employee short in the report. It says the position in Hayward was filled. We had 2 people we interviewed for the Radisson position. They were both great candidates. We offered to one we didn't offer to when this vacancy came up. We offered, and he declined because of other reasons. He really felt bad. He really wanted to work for us, but he had some other things going on that his employer wooed him away from us. So we still have that vacancy, and I did notice today, Andy, I looked, and that's not on the website. I don't know why. Contact those. The ATV, UTV ordinance. I did send that out to all the towns and cities and villages and city, and also to the Snowmobile and ATV Alliance, and also LCO Tribal. So everyone's got it. I guess jumping ahead to the next paragraph, I won't be here at the September meeting. I actually won't even be remotely. I'm gonna be up in Kodiak Island, so it's a 3-hour time difference, and it's sketchy what I have up there, so.
Where's that?
Service,
Canada?
Alaska. So Andy and I talked about it, and plus, given people, these interested parties time to comment, we decided to receive comments till October 4th. And then we'll place it on the agenda for the October Public Works Committee meeting. And so it was decided last meeting that all the comments will come to the highway department. So I received 2 municipalities and 1 private individual. Somehow, and I guess it's kind of my fault, I should have been more explicit with my planning commission chair at the town of Hayward. I gave it to her so that our planning commission could review it, and she sent it on to the whole biking community.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping we're not gonna get bombarded with that, with those type of comments, because those weren't the stakeholders that we're looking for. Not that there's anything wrong with receiving comments, but, you know, if that was our intent, we would have sent it out to all Sawyer County, you know, or anyone who use the roadways, you know, hikers. So, but that's kind of on me. I didn't say anything. I didn't think that would happen, but it's not. Like I said, I've only got one comment so far as a result of that, so. That's all I have.
Anything you want to speak about the ordinance?
We're working on, we have a draft of what we would like changed, finished. And I'm presenting it to the Alliance at our meeting next Tuesday. Once I get that copy, then I'll forward it to Gary.
Thank you. Any other questions from Gary?
I have a comment. Gary, I don't know if you know, this morning we approved the e-bikes on the trails. Doesn't matter. E-bike class 1.
So on all the bike trails,
I, you know,
I don't think it's allowed on the ones that we applied for at the time, but it doesn't matter because no one's police. You know what I mean? The people that work with me at DOT at that, they're not. They don't even work for the department anymore. So no one's gonna be caring of that. I actually thought one day, you know, what if we ever routed ATVs on there? No one, they probably scream, but the parties that were the big people at the time of the stamping approvals, they're not with the department.
Okay. Hearing no questions, thank you, Gary. And have fun on your trip.
yeah, enjoy.
We did courtroom remodel. Number 12, board policy procedure manual rules and responsibilities update. I read through them and I thought, boy, Andy did it, or Andy or whoever did a nice job putting that together. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's on here this month because we introduced it last month, your section. And then you've also had the updated full board policy package. But if you had any changes, we're going to discuss them tonight. Or adopt them for referral.
I did not see anything like you said. I agree. It was very well written.
Mr. Peters, Mr. Bissonnette. On the board.
They look fine to me.
Thank
I
you,
reviewed them as well and they look fine to me.
thank you. So where do we go with this? We approve it?
Yep.
Here, and then it doesn't have to go for the board.
You approved this portion here, and this would be part of the full
Package.
and the whole package will end up going to the board. I'll just tell you that we had hoped to get it to the board in this month's meeting, but I had one committee that pushed theirs till next month. So it might be another month yet.
So what is the name of the Public Works roles?
Roles and responsibilities.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the Public Works roles and responsibilities as presented. Don't everybody.
Second. I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Bissonnette to approve the roles and responsibilities of the Public Works Department. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Future agenda items. Future agenda items. Andy, what's your feeling about? Before we remodeled the committees, we used to meet out the highway department, and we haven't met at the airport one time since we've changed things. Is that something we can do? 1 month meet at highway and next month maybe, or another month meet at the airport?
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good way for you to see what's going on at those locations. The only thing you might have to acknowledge or publicize is that we might not be able to do a virtual meeting from those locations.
We'll just take a look at it.
Oh, he's not here.
Well, I just because I don't actually. Both those locations, we still have a little bit of
Yeah, you have,
bandwidth issues right now.
How we come with
yeah, very weak Wi-Fi stuff and all
Cautiously optimistic we'd be able to do it.
Okay,
Things so far seem stable.
so, well, we don't want to do next month, Gary's going. So maybe October, do it at the highway department?
October, you may have a lot of people for the comment for the ATV,
Yeah,
UTV.
that's true.
that.
Our facility out there isn't.
That's not gonna be-
Oh, wait a minute, it just went from like the best in the state.
That was, we're tied for the worst three in the region. Flip a coin.
Your delivery was so deadpan, I was like, I was about believing you.
Yeah, I did too.
It was, I mean,
That's one of the worst three. The matter of fact, when we're looking at these new facilities, one of the guys from the junk shops, he was getting up with the big shots. I said, get back here, buddy. You're back with us three. We're at the bottom of the
When
barrel.
you said that, I met with you in the office at the conference, and I'm like, well, the shop must be really. up to-
The shop is much better. They built it in 78. I think they probably moved in June and they were outgrew it in July of 78. It's a very small facility.
Well, it's something we'll look at doing in the future. Try to rotate it around. All right. Anybody have anything else? Other items for correspondence reports? If not, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you, and
Get some sleep, man.
you had a great time.
Yeah.